Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to also share, like, and comment.
Why do they exhibit so much vengeance and hatred towards the opposition? These individuals that I've mentioned are not the only individuals who have been subjected to extrajudicial punishment by incarceration without trial or bond. You have the example of Honorable Mumbipiri. Honorable Mumbipiri, who was given a frivolous charge of murder and spent almost 1 year in custody for no good reason. You have the example of Dr. Christopher Zumanizimba, who was given together with 3 others, Potiphar Gwaye and another individual, who were given frivolous charges of terrorism and kept in custody for more than 6 months for no good reason. So the question which you, the Zambian people, must be asking your government is, why do they have a very high appetite for extrajudicial punishment? Why do they have a high appetite to incarcerate individuals and disrespect the Constitution of Zambia? Why? Where is their hatred coming from? I'll explain. I'll answer myself. The reason why the UPND government has got so much hatred and they have a high appetite to harass and incarcerate the opposition is because they have failed. They have failed to run the affairs of this country. They have failed to deliver on their promises. They have failed to improve the standard of living of the people. And they know that the people will begin to ask questions. They know that the people will begin to mobilize to remove them in 2026. So what do? They conceive plans to use the Zambia Police Service to harass the opposition, so that the Zambian people cannot be given alternative solutions, alternative leadership from the opposition. That is the reason why the UPND are harassing the opposition. Let me open my wallet a bit.
He's not dishing out money.
This is 100 Kwacha, 250s. In 2021, this 100 Kwacha used to buy 5 liters of petrol and change. Today, this 100 Kwacha is only able to buy 2 liters of petrol. And yet, we have a president who claims that he has delivered on the aspirations of the Zambian people. At Ndarama ikachoka mtumba ma president, it shouldn't go back. Thank you. So that is where the problem is. We have a government which has failed and is desperate to harass the opposition so that the people don't hear alternative voices. We have the case, allow me to briefly go into the case of Honorable J.J. Banda. We have a situation, countrymen and women, whereby the police and the government is arguing that Honorable J.J. Banda did not name the individuals who were involved in his abduction. State Counsel Sakura Scotta, who is next to me here, made it clear that his client, J.J. Banda, mentioned the individuals who were involved in that abduction. And he listed 3 individuals, 2 State House officials and 1 UPND official. Honorable J.J. Banda indicated that Mr. Hamasaka, Grayson Hamasaka, who is the communications chief at State House, is the one who was involved, according to his lawyer. Further, Honorable J.J. Banda is said to have indicated that Mr. Mr. Levi Ngoma, who is the political advisor to President Hakainde Hichilema, was also involved, according to his lawyer. His lawyer tells us that Honorable J.J. Banda also indicated that Mr. Trevor Mwinde, the deputy youth chairman of UPND, was also involved in that abduction. And yet the government is telling us that Honorable J.J. Banda did not reveal the people who were involved in his abduction. To make it simple, countrymen and women, let the Zambian people hear from J.J. Banda himself who abducted him. If J.J. Banda addresses the nation and narrates the ordeal from Ibex Hill, how he left his vehicle, to how he found himself in Kafue, then the Zambian people will be able to judge for themselves. So the question is, why are the police keeping J.J. Banda away from the people, away from the media, away from his family, so that he can tell his story? If the story by Honorable J.J. Banda, which he will share with the public, is inconsistent or does not sound true, you, the Zambian people, will judge for yourselves. We don't need Jack Mwimbu to explain to us what J.J. Banda said, as if J.J. Banda is dead. J.J. Banda is alive. J.J. Banda can speak for himself. The Zambian people have ears. The Zambian people have a mind. They can analyze what J.J. Banda will tell them, whether it sounds true or whether it is a lie. So why are the police keeping J.J. Banda away from the public so that he can tell his story, so that the people can judge whether his story is true or it is a lie? Why? We have a situation where, as we speak right now, the police have charged J.J. Banda with attempted murder for an offense which allegedly occurred in 2016. The question is, for a person who is just from being abducted, couldn't the police wait until he recuperates at home, and then if they want to charge him with anything, they can then charge him? Why are they charging him with an offense that took place more than 7 years ago now, and keeping him away from being heard by the public? Why? Countrymen and women, it shows that the police have something to hide. It shows that the government has something to hide. It shows that, most likely, in my view, the story that JJ gave to State Council here is true, in my view, because the police and the state are making attempts to cover up their footsteps in terms of this abduction. And his arrest by the police for the alleged attempted murder is a case of diversion. I submit, countrymen and women. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. You've gotten a very, very important and powerful statement from President Tembo. He did use some words which perhaps I would like to expand on. He did say that there's been extrajudicial punishment on the various people being locked up. I think it's important that I break down what extrajudicial means. Extrajudicial means outside of the law, that these detentions and punishments are not as a result of the law saying that these people should be either detained or denied bail, but it is somebody doing it out of their own volition. In other words, these claims that are being made that they follow the rule of law are merely out there for public relations purposes. Because if you follow the rule of law, you will not do anything which is extrajudicial. And I wish to confirm, as President Tembo was saying, that indeed Honorable J.J. Banda did name his abductors. He did not remain quiet, as Minister Lufuma claimed. And one has to wonder why the minister had to hold a press conference where clearly he was trying to hide what J.J. Banda said. it raises questions, and all of you must ask yourselves, why is this so? My colleague, President Tembo, lastly also said that JJ is being kept from the public. It is not only from the public, but sadly, he's being kept even away from his lawyers. Again, a clear indication that this government does not follow the rule of law. The next speaker who will address you is my colleague, the coordinator of UKA, President Kateka.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I wish to recognize our former head of state, the sixth Republican president, President ECL, chair, and all my colleagues here, and you members of the press. I wish to talk about the ugly head of cadreism that we are seeing. I don't want to say rising up. I just want to give a little bit of a background that to the effect that we have had cadres since the UNIP days. And since then, every political party that has come in has had its cadres. And Zambians have reluctantly accepted this fact that cadres will be there. But of late, you will notice that Zambians are less acceptable of cadres, and it's one of the main reasons that has been cited for the removal of our alliance partner, the PF, from government in 2021. Now, it is thus very shocking and disappointing to say the least with regard to what we are seeing today from this beleaguered government, this party in government. Let's start with what happened on Thursday last week when we saw a whole lot of cadres carrying pangas being allowed to go to deck and hurling insults at the former Republican president. So one has to ask, who is raising these thugs? Who is unleashing these thugs? Why, Mr. President, do you go to Parliament to issue that statement on our morals when you cannot control the behavior of those in your own party? Mr. President, we are asking you to stop the pretense and hypocrisy. Do the right thing. And if you continue along this trajectory, you do so at your own risk. Kuya bebele. We saw the same behavior at the Mandevu rally that the New Heritage Party was meant to have on Saturday. Some panga-wielding, machete-wielding cadres were unleashed. I think there were about, is it about 15 buses? 20 busloads of cadres. Do you think that those cadres organized themselves, funded the buses, and took themselves to the Mandevu Chipata grounds? Obviously, it's their leaders who sent them there, because we had intel even before that these cadres would be unleashed on us. We saw the same behavior yesterday when the former Republican president was supposed to take his wife to have a traditional meal at Mateveto in Thorn Park. Cadres and police were present there to stop them having that lunch. What sort of behavior is this? Does it mean that people cannot move around freely? I can be rest assured, Zambians, that this must not and cannot be allowed to continue. I now wish to talk about the Mandevu rally itself so that I give a little bit of a background to what actually transpired, because the police are saying that it was an illegal gathering, which in fact didn't happen. On the 10th of May 2024, the New Heritage Party gave notice. Don't forget that we are only required to give notice. We gave notice to hold this rally, giving the police a 3-week period when we are only required to give 7 days notice. We gave them 3 weeks notice. So, and we indicated in our letter that because of their security concerns, we were giving them more than enough time to address those concerns. On the 13th of May, they called us and asked us to bring the original certificate of registration. Now, we are talking about a party that took part in the 2021 general elections and also has taken part in a number of by-elections. If we were not registered, what were we doing on the ballot? A few days later, they then asked for a list of speakers. That was on the 15th. On the 20th, they advised us, remember, advised us, not informed us, but advised us not to proceed with the rally. On the 21st, we appealed to the minister, even though it was advised. Remember, advice can either be taken or not taken. So we appealed to the minister on the 21st, and we also wrote on the same day a letter to the Human Rights Commission asking them to intervene and investigate this matter. They came here on the 22nd, and they also brought a letter to say they were going to investigate. Now, in that letter, they went to the police and to the minister's office, I'm talking about the Human Rights Commission, and then wrote a letter to us to say, you did not appeal to the police. What sort of investigation is that, where you listen to one side and you don't bother listening to the other side? We are calling upon the Human Rights Commission to up their game and to start doing their job. We are not interested in having commissioners there who are being paid by taxpayers and not doing their due job, because your job is to see that the rights of Zambians are upheld. So we wrote to the Human Rights Commission and gave them the letter, which was stamped by the minister's office, the letter of appeal. Now, according to the Constitution, the minister is supposed to respond to us within 7 days. 5 days, actually, sorry, 5 days. And the minister did not do that. We got a response from the minister on the 31st with a letter which was probably backdated to the 28th, but in any case, it was still out of time. So we got it on the 31st, and we had decided that we were going to go ahead with the rally. Now, the New Heritage Party meticulously followed the due process. The question should be asked, if the police have no capacity, as they are claiming, to man that rally, what was that battalion doing there? You saw in our days when we were growing up on the Copper Belt, we called it at Imbas. Those big trucks, I hear now they call them at Kampyongo. They had so many Kampyongos, Imbas there. What were they doing that place? Now, also Zambians should ask ourselves the question, that same force that was used to stop the rally, why is it not being used to protect the Zambians and to ensure that the rights of Zambians is upheld? Why protect the armed cadres but fail to protect Zambians? And that is something that we should ask ourselves for. If we are not careful and we do not push back against this repression, we are going to go back into the one-party state and will be oppressed and repressed by this beleaguered party in government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clearly a very, very important statement by my colleague. And she did raise several important issues, especially with regards to cadres. And she asked who is unleashing the thugs. I would go further and say who is not controlling their thugs. I think that the person who's not controlling their thugs is failing this country. We have seen leadership exhibited by people such as the late John McCain. The late John McCain went for some town hall where one of his supporters got the mic and started berating President Obama, whom John McCain was standing against. What John McCain did was to take the microphone from that lady and tell her that she was out of order and that the things she was saying about President Obama were wrong, and corrected them. That was leadership. We had a similar situation here in Zambia when President Hakainde went for the Kuomboka. At the Mungu airport, you had Minister Milupi stand up and address the crowd where he was berating the opposition, where he was encouraging the youths to become more militant, basically to even become violent. And the mic was passed on to Liswaniso, the youth chair, and he carried on along the same lines. You even had Mwaliteta as well, at that same, do the same. Throughout that, President Hakainde was smiling. He could not fit into the shoes of John McCain. One would have expected that he would have taken the route John McCain did to that lady who was berating President Obama and corrected her. That's what leadership is about, more especially when you are the head of the nation. You have to show that level of leadership. He has failed to do that. There was also another issue raised by my colleague, President Kateka, who stated that they had meticulously followed all the procedures that were required when wishing to hold a rally. I think that they even went beyond what was required of them. I would like to let you know that the government, if they felt that that particular day was bad, at least they should have even have said, can you consider these alternative dates? But clearly, what they want is just simply to stop the opposition from holding any rallies. United Liberal Party is also going to be having a rally. We will be announcing that very shortly. But unlike my colleague, who I think even went beyond what they were supposed to do, after we've given them notice, if they say they want to see our original certificate, we will tell them we are not bringing the original certificate. If they have any doubts as to whether or not we are registered, the same ministry which they are under, the Registrar of Society, has our certificate. So we are going to go ahead whether they try to put these silly little roadblocks that they like putting up or not. No more Mr. Nice Guy from United Liberal Party. Thank you. The next person to speak is my colleague, the Vice President of the New Era Democratic Party, Ms. Exilda Mwenya.
Thank you you very much, Chair. May I recognize the presence of the 60th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, in our midst. Presidents of various political parties present, and representatives of presidents not present, the media, and the community present. I'm going to speak about the intimidation of the clergy that are hosting the United Kwacha Alliance. In the recent past, we've witnessed the harassment of the clergy, which began with the former Republican president when he was in Kabwe. They were harassed. We have seen a lot of police call-outs in social media sectors where clergy, especially the Catholic Church, are being summoned by the police. I'll take you back when the current government came into power. The first people they called to pray with at State House was the Catholic Church. But today, the same Catholic are the Lucifers. It's a shame. From time immemorial, the church has been the voice of the voiceless, for the poor, the vulnerable, and the oppressed. Now, if we take away the clergy, who are the arbitrators of the voiceless, the arbitrators of the political parties when there are differences, we run to the church to say, can you speak to us, reconcile us? The church is there to bring peace and reconciliation. You cannot silence the church. When you silence the church, it means you are silencing the bigger numbers. The church has got bigger numbers, more than political parties. You can bear with me. That's where the voices are. That's where the voters are. And when they speak, they can silence the politicians. Our plea to the church is to speak out without fear or favor, as Christ did. Continued persecution means you are ready to fight the masses, which are found in the churches. The church is a peace haven where everyone runs to. Unless you are not a Christian, you believe in something else. But if you believe in Christ, you respect the clergy. Our plea is to the pastors, the Catholic priests, and any church. Do not fear when we come to worship with you. I thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that that message is very clear. And what struck me is the fact that this government actually went to the extent of calling church leaders Lucifers. Ever since they did that, there's been no apology from the government with regards to what their Secretary General said. There has been no withdrawal of those words by the government. So officially, this government has named and maintains that the Catholic Church is headed by Lucifers. If that is not so, let them come out clearly and apologize and withdraw the words that their Secretary General made. The next person who's going to address us is President Chanda.
Thank you, Chair. Mwauka bwanji bonse. Mwauka mayuko. Dala fela. No manite. My name is Peter Chanda, New Congress Party President. as new Congress party, as well as being a member of the United Kwacha Alliance, before I even speak, I want to acknowledge the presence of His Excellency, the 60th Republican President. Your Excellency, we love you and we stand with you in the trying moment. Although we were almost skinned alive that day when we came at deck, me and Msoma, they almost killed us, those thugs. And our brother there, and we were the target, the three of us. At least him we sneaked us, we were escorted by some police officers who became sympathetic that otherwise those guys, they came with knives, they wanted to kill us. I'm addressing the issue of selective corruption charges and detentions that are happening. From the time the new Dawn administration entered office, I think you, the Zambian people, can be able to see a lot of corruption charges against their own people have been raised. The FIC, even when you look at yesterday's paper, you can be able to see that the Financial Intelligence Center has continued to bring out issues of huge sums of money that have been deposited outside the country. The issue of Foreign Affairs Minister, which ministry has remained vacant without a minister. I don't know who is the Foreign Affairs Minister, whether it is the President himself, because I believe he calls himself Chief Marketing Officer, so when he looks at a Foreign Affairs Minister, maybe our President Bare Kumboy the minister. Because he wants to be the Chief Diplomat. The issue of Stanley Kakubo is a matter that was blown, and the reports have been filed to the Anti-Corruption Commission. Up to date, is an innocent man moving on the street without being charged. If that matter, me, I'm a typical Zambian. My mother is Kaonde from Northwestern Province. Now, a raw deal is being given to the people of Northwestern Province when a minister was here receiving huge sums of money in cash for the sale of the mine. Is that not corruption, Mwebantu? Why is Stanley Kakubo still moving freely on the street when we have people that have just made the statements and they are there detained for seditious whatever? My call to President Hakainde Hichilema: justice demands that when you sit on that throne, you look at how God looks at all of us. When God gives you an opportunity to become a leader, you have to be exemplary. You have to look at, you are not supposed to look at any other person on their face. That example was led by our able 60th Republican President. How many ministers, some of them were even fired to an extent where after some times when the law enforcement agencies failed to substantiate a matter about a certain minister, he told them, you told me to fire this one, fire that one, fire that one. And he demonstrated and allowed the law enforcement agencies to carry out their duty without selective. Several ministers under his tenure went before the SEC, were tried in court, some of them acquitted. Others incarcerated. Today, as we are speaking, the former Minister of Community Development is inside. It's a demonstration. I want us to give a clap to the 60th president. He demonstrated that leadership is not about the people you know. For President Hakainde Hichilema, I want to speak to you. If you claim you have that authority over the country, then prevail over the corruption issues that have happened. Today we hear that certain banks are even closed because certain names and certain people don't want to pay what they owe certain banks. Today, somebody that we knew that benzopempa na yokwerera, benzopempa na yafiwe okulisi, today, because they are not even in the ranks of government. They are just provincial, national chairman and others, and they have now proper vehicles. They are moving. They are even shareholders in the mines, especially in Mkush one mine. The names were listed of the people that are shareholders, and nothing has been done. My call is that justice demands, when somebody sits on that throne, you are sitting on that throne on behalf of God. And God gives rains. That's what the Bible says, both to the righteous and the wicked. So that's the way leadership is supposed to be done. So my call to the new Dawn administration: we demand for fair justice and for fair trial on corruption matters. First and foremost, pursue the matters within yourself. Those permanent secretaries that President Hakainde Hichilema you've fired, I'm sure it is on allegation of certain issues, but they are freely moving. Matters are not being followed up. So I want to call upon the SEC. That is a constitutional office, especially the Director General. When you are appointed and then ratified by Parliament, it means you are answerable to the law. You are not answerable to the person or the appointing authority. You stand for the people of Zambia. The DPP, I'm calling upon you to understand that that office, you are not answerable to anybody apart from the law. So I thank you, and I want to state, we demand for fair and not selective corruption fight. I thank you.
Thank you very much, President Chanda. And he's raised some very, very important issues with regards to selective justice and selective prosecution. I think that you are all aware that President Tembo has made formal complaints against people who are in government. President Kateka has also made formal complaints with regards to people in government. In all of these cases, nothing has been done. Those people have not even been called for interviews. The matters have just been closed and sat on. That is the selective prosecution that President Chanda is talking about. And there's a need for the government to show that there is a rule of law in Zambia. I would like to touch on also the issue of Honorable Munia Zulu. Honorable Munia. He has been picked up for responding to Mwinde. Even in his statement, he clearly states, if this is what Mwinde is proposing. And I think you've all heard what Mwinde was saying. And certainly what Mwinde was saying was worse than what Honorable Munia was saying. There's no doubt about that. Apart from that, Honorable Mwinde is the one who has instigated that topic. But you leave the person who instigated it all, that is Mwinde, and you go to somebody who was responding, and in the response basically saying it is wrong for you to do and say that. Imagine if we also said and did that. And you go and arrest that person, and you leave the one who said those things. I think even all these organizations which were very quick to come out and to condemn these people should look at where is the genesis of this problem. Where is the genesis? And you find that the genesis is with the UPND. There is no doubt about that. So President Hakainde should check his own people. Not only check his own people, he should check himself to make sure that this scourge that us Zambians do not want does not grow. Thank you. The next person who will address you on another important topic is President Musoma.
We need your mercy, Lord. We need your mercy, Lord. We need your mercy, Lord. Your mercy. Your mercy, oh Lord. Thank you very much, Chair. The 63th Republican President of Zambia, Dr. Edgar Chagwa, our great chair of the United Kwacha Alliance, UKA, and my fellow presidents, and of course, you members of the press, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Friends and fellow citizens, we as Zambia Republican Party, a member of the Might United Kwacha Alliance, UKA, we are quite concerned by what is happening in Zambia, particularly to do with the state institutions. It is very clear that state institutions such as the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the police, anti-corruption, DEC, have all been turned into wings of the ruling United UPND, basically. It's not a secret. And this is why you are seeing when it comes to fighting corruption, they are being selective. They are choosing who to follow, okay? And they are being malicious. They are being brutal. It's because these state institutions have been messed up under the watch of Hakainde Hichilema. And as UKA, we are not going to allow that. This is the message to the Zambian people, and indeed to the president himself. We are not going to backpedal, and we are not going to relent. I mean, let me reiterate what I said some time back. It is not a secret. Our mission is to form government in 2026. Let them get that to themselves. And on this mission, whether we are chained or brutalized, I mean, you can chain us, you can brutalize us, or even kill us, but you are not going to kill our voices and our spirits and our resolve to kick out UPND in 2026. So what is happening is very unfortunate. Why is this happening? I'll answer myself in the interest of time. Hakainde Hichilema and the team, they have realized that they cannot fulfill all the promises that they made to Zambians. For the first time, Zambia is witnessing or experiencing the cost of living such as we have never witnessed before in the history of this nation. Okay? And epe kubelele nama suicide cases zayengi sana because the cost of living is biting. And President Hakainde Hichilema, in his heart of hearts, he knows that there is no way he's going to fix that. The Kwacha is also going wayward. Okay? Everything is bad in this nation. So what is easy escape? Is to turn state institutions into wings of the ruling UPND party of Hakainde Hichilema. But are we going to allow that as Zambian people? Not when we are living. Not when State Council Sakuiva Skota is alive. Not when our 60th Republican president is alive. Not when Sean Tembo, and indeed, my fellow presidents are alive. We're not going to allow that. He has failed, and come 2026, he has to give way. Okay? So, you cannot be using institutions of learning as a way to keep yourself in power. A bash. I mean, look at Parliament. He appointed a speaker who is a non-UPND cadre. And hence the things that are happening in Parliament. Parliament has been reduced to something else, where opposition MPs are being treated like schoolboys, Western schoolboys, primary school children. This has never happened in the history of this nation. Okay? The police are arresting people, abducting people. It is happening. Since when has that ever happened? Okay? Where they send the police at night to innocent, well-meaning Zambians, like our former Republican president, my colleague President Sean Tembo. They go and abduct them. These are people with fixed abode, with no criminal records. They go and abduct them. At times they take them to far-flung areas, thousands of kilometers away. For what? What are they doing to them? Okay? This is happening under Hakainde Hichilema. Okay? ECZ, we know and you know. Okay? He has appointed well-known UPND cadres. They are the ones who are running the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So what did you expect? You know, personally, I would like even to advise us that probably for now we should even stop participating in by-elections. Okay? Because it's like we're just helping him to come and justify that he has rigged to come and rig the election. So, all this is happening under the watch of Hakainde Hichilema. Institutions of state institutions have been turned into wings of the ruling UPND. And we are not going to change that in 2 years. Thank you very much. God bless them.
Thank you very much, President. And I can confirm on behalf of all my colleagues here that in spite of all this repression that is being put on us, we are not going to relent. We are not going to stop. We are going to remain focused. And also, there is a paradox about repression. There is what is called the paradox of repression. And this is what UPND should learn and be aware of. I'll give you the quotation as to what the paradox of repression is. This is a tag for situations in which the regime or other opponent uses punishment of some kind against the non-violent campaigners, presumably to deter them from further action. But the punishment produces a growth in the movement. So all this repression that they are doing, all this banning of our rallies brings a growth to us, brings us more sympathy. That is what they should learn. I was also reminded when I heard President Soma talk about institutions of learning being used by the president. At Luancha, they actually closed Luancha Trades, put out a circular that close it today so that the students can go and receive the students. That is there in black and white. Now, what is so funny is that when those students went there, and then they started jeering at President Hakainde and showing him quite clearly that they were not impressed with what he was doing, he shouted back at them, focus on your studies. The man who had closed the institution and stopped them from starting to receive him says, focus on your studies. So you can see how confused the man is. You know, no doubt about that. The next person who's to address you is President Silavwe. So, President Silavwe, focus on your studies.
I think as of good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
Mauka.
Auka.
I know we have not eaten because there's no power at home, but please answer me. Mauka. Zikomo. I will not concentrate on my studies because I'm already done for now. But I want to concentrate on the component of the economy, which is the continued high cost of living and also of doing business. Before I do that, I would like to recognize the presence of the 6th Republican President of Zambia, Dr. Edgar Chagwa, United Kwacha Alliance Chairperson, State Council Sakweba Scotta, the coordinator of the alliance, President Shalakateka, the presidents of various political parties, the vice president of NED, as well as the representative of President Harry Kalaba, who is not able to be with us this morning. And indeed, I would like to keep in memory the two presidents that are not here, not by choice, but by the choice of President Hakainde Hichilema, Honorable Jack Mwimbu, and also the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Musamba. That is President Honorable Edith Nawakwi, who is incarcerated at Charleston Police Station without the possibility of being visited by us, the colleagues, or indeed the chiefs. I would also like to keep in memory President Professor Dan Pule, who has been arrested, not on the vague charges that the state has told the public, simply because President Pule hosted a special prayer service for the United Kwacha Alliance at Dunamis Miracles Church, where he's senior pastor. That is the true reason why President Pule today is languishing in police cells at 70 years of age. A man who has served this country distinctively and remarkably in senior government portfolios, was never advocated for any form of division in this country. A clergyman of right standing today is languishing in cells at the instruction of President Hakainde Hichilema because he hosted the United Kwacha Alliance. Shame. As the United Kwacha Alliance will be failing in our duties if we fail to address the elephant in the room. The same elephant that has led President Hakainde Hichilema and his cohorts to start side shows to distract the Zambian people from what they are feeling at heart. That is the high cost of living. It is clear that President Hichilema successfully shut down the Zambian economy. Household poverty continues to go higher and higher. Indeed, it is correct to assume and to state that the Zambian economy is back to the colonial era of the economy, where civil servants and those with paid-up jobs were the only people that had an income at the end of the month. Weak economic policies weak Kwacha, unstable fuel prices, high cost of goods and services, high cost of transport, no income at households, more hardships and more desperation, more stress, more crime in our compounds and residential areas, more mental health breakdowns. The President alluded to high suicide rates, high poverty levels, and high cost of doing business is the current synopsis of the Zambian economy under President Hichilema and his new dark administration. On the other hand, a strong economy increases income to individuals and businesses. A strong economy reduces poverty, providing jobs, increases affordability of goods and services. Families are able to eat or afford a bag of mielie meal. A good economy unlocks the private sector so that people can be able to have jobs. To a large extent, the high cost of living in President Hakainde Hichilema's new dark government is stressed to two factors introduced by themselves. Number one, the perceived mopping of excess cash from the local economy, which is a hoax, by the way. By increasing the monetary policy rate, MPR, and the statutory reserve ratio, SRR, President Hichilema has shut down the informal local sector in one single blow. Less money in local circulation has directly hit local small and medium businesses with very low sales. Households in the compounds are unable to get a piecework and afford the basics of life. Yes, the majority who depend on the informal sector can no longer afford the basics, such as mielie meal, hence the cries in the compounds. Njala, o insala, twalafwa, baka inde bala twipaya. And secondly, the second reason why the cost of living and doing business has been pushed up is due to the fluctuating fuel prices. A closer look at the foreign exchange regime indicate that all major convertibles are dancing to the song of the fuel prices by the ERB. This is extremely catastrophic in an import-led economy with more than 80% of the products on the shelves of tuntembas, groceries, and chain stores are from outside the country. As long as the dollar is dancing, all the Zambians will have to dance a gulewa mkulu to the high cost of living and doing business. This is now compounded by the long hours of load shedding. Production or productivity has been shut down in our economy. We're not just an alliance that speaks, but we are the alliance that offers solutions. Instead of sending cadres to Mandevu to disrupt the rally, instead of arresting leading opposition critical voices in our country, instead of now misgoverning the country based on myopia and innuendos, we wish to advise President Hakainde Hichilema and his cabinet the following. As an immediate measure, short-term measure, can you stop the monthly review of prices, of fuel prices, forthwith, and replaced by only 2 price reviews in each half of the year, preferably March and August respectively. We propose to you to incentivize small and medium local businesses to produce and employ more locals. Small and medium enterprises form the basis of any economy. Right now, they are suffocated. It will not do well for you to continue giving tax holidays to the mining companies who are your friends. You've publicly said that they are your friends. When the Kantemba Chaisa market is closing because they cannot afford to order goods for them to sell. Shame. President Hakainde Hichilema, encourage locals to spend, because the modern economy is grown when people spend. Stop raising the MPR. As we told you in the last presser, in the last statement, that we have economies that can grow at 20, even 40% of inflation. What matters is that people can put food on the table.
That's right.
Why do you want to punish the Zambian people for the sake of pleasing your friends at the IMF and the World Bank? Indeed, you are not a patriotic Zambian. You do not have a heart of a father. You are stone cold in the way you are dealing with us as the Zambian people. Let the Zambian people trade. Let the Zambian people afford a bag of meal. Let the Zambian people put tomato in their relish. Let the Zambian people put onion in their relish. Let the Zambian people buy rice for them to eat. Don't tell them to substitute me shima with kandolo. That is an insult to the Zambian people. President Hakainde Hichilema, I say shame for you keeping the Zambian people hungry. The Zambian economy needs new money through taxation. You have been up and about with a begging bow, asking the donor community to give you money, and yet you've got a treasure in your own country. You've got the mining sector. When President Edgar Lungu left power, he had progressively started raising the taxes in the mining sector, hence having a bit of money for him to spend on infrastructure and other things. In your maiden budget, you reduced the taxes from the mining sector. Now you found yourself cash-strapped. You start selling power that is meant for the Zambian people to neighboring countries. And yet, we have got minerals. And yet, using those minerals, KCM itself, which you pledged that you'll never return back to Vendetta, now you've given it. A man who cannot keep his own words. What kind of a president are you? Shame. A president must be able to keep his word even under difficult circumstances. And Mr. President, you are a letdown even to potential future presidents such as ourselves lined up here. We ask you to raise taxes in the mining sector so that you can have enough money to spend, new money in the economy. You boasted during the campaigns that you were a farmer, and you understood the problems that the farmers were going through. Where is the agricultural revolution that you talked about? Today, ulabeja musankwa. Uliata. Today, our farmers are being treated to be sharing fertilizer in medals. Let delivery of farming inputs. We ask you that you can make agriculture as the new mining, because it can be done in all the provinces of Zambia. We have a lot of solutions which we'll be able to give to our media. But let me say this in conclusion. Zambia needs a new economic order, built by locals, powered by locals, supported by locals, supported by their government. An economy that benefits the Zambian people. President Hichilema and his administration lack the capacity to deliver economic prosperity for all Zambians. The template is on the table. You have failed to run this country economically. Paraphrasing Winston Churchill's words, trying to develop the country with President Hakainde Hichilema and his new Dawn government is like lifting yourself in a bucket. It is impossible. The new Dawn administration cannot develop this country economically. Instead of these side shows that you are treating the Zambian people to, we ask you to introspect, to retreat, and do that which is right for the Zambian people. The interests of the Zambian people and the needs of the Zambian people are basic. The Zambian people want to eat. The Zambian people want to board a bus. They want to buy affordable fuel. The Zambian people want to live in a country free of cadarism. The Zambian people want to live in a country that reflects their aspirations as a people. Yeah. You have the responsibility to provide that Zambia. But we know you cannot because you lack the capacity. And so we urge the Zambian people, keep believing in Oka. We are ready. Even today we are ready to provide that kind of Zambia. I thank you.
Thank you very much, President Silabwe. I can see that indeed you did focus on your studies from what you have been able to deliver. I think that you have heard what my colleagues have stated. They've raised very, very important matters from the opposition, crackdown on the opposition that we are seeing, the various arrests, the way that they are stopping people from even being able to communicate with yourselves. The Mandevu rally is a case in point. The police heavy-handedness, the intimidation of the clergy, who are people whom we should instead be going to and seeking guidance, but instead they are being intimidated. The selective corruption fight, the collapse of our state institutions, that we touched upon and ably talked about. And then lastly, we talked about the collapsing economy, the continued high cost of living. President Slavwe amply dealt with that. Before I carry on, I wish to point out that President Slavwe talked about the condition of some of our leaders who have been picked up. What I think he left out is that President Nawakwi, who is being kept and whom we are not being allowed to see, is somebody who is actually recovering from medical procedures that she underwent in India. She had just come back. But this government is so heartless that even somebody like that they keep in custody for a bailable offense. That to them doesn't matter. That's how heartless they are. And then we are today at a stage where, like rightly stated by President Slavwe, there is a new darkness in this country, certainly a new darkness. President Slavwe also talked about the difficulties people are having in just having money to carry on their businesses. You know, it seems like there's a big turnaround in our country. I remember when President Sata came into office, what he was talking about was more money in your pockets. That's what he was talking about, and that was the cry around. But it seems like this government wants to do the opposite. For them, it is less money, if not no money. No money in your pockets. That is what they are doing. And you wonder, where has the money gone? The money has gone into the pockets of those around President Hakainde. That is why there's no money in your pockets. That is why you cannot afford 3 meals a day. That is why you cannot afford public transport to get to your working places, and you walk for 2 or 3 hours every day to go to work, 2 or 3 hours every day to go back to your homes. that is because of the UPND. Quite often, the press and others ask, we know that we've got these problems, but what solutions are you, as UKA, putting forward? I think you heard what President Silabwe said. He set out quite a number of solutions. Just a few of the plans that we have. So people should not be saying, what are your solutions? And we also have one big solution for the people of Zambia. That one big solution that we have for the people of Zambia is our call for early elections. That is the solution for Zambia because the current government has failed. The current government has brought despondency to our country. The current government is leading to untold suffering that we have never seen in this country before. If we have early elections, we'll be able to reverse all this, because the Zambian people clearly are saying they do not want any more of the UPND government. They want change. And change they will have, and change they can have through early elections. Some people say, how can you have early elections? These people have got a mandate up to 2026. That mandate that we're given was for them to rule in the interests of the Zambian people. That mandate was to better the lives of the Zambian people. That mandate was to create fair opportunity to all Zambians. That mandate was so that every single Zambian, when waking up, would be looking forward to the day ahead. But instead, every Zambian waking up is dreading as to how they'll get through the day. So clearly, they've failed to fulfill the mandate they were given. Since they've failed to fulfill the mandate they were given, new people should come, or they should seek a fresh mandate. Some people have argued that the Constitution says it's 5 years. Yes, it does. But there is nothing wrong with that 5 years being cut short. President Kaunda had a mandate of 5 years, which was due to run out in 1993. But he cut it short because the people of Zambia were saying, you are not fulfilling the mandate we had given you, and we want to be given an opportunity to assess where you have put us and decide whether you carry on or we put in new people. President Kaunda heard what the Zambian people were demanding, and he cut short his 5-year mandate. There are not a lot of things that I agree with President Hakainde Hichilema. But there's one thing I agree with him. He went out publicly and stated that demanding for early election, simulandu. He said that. That's right. And I agree with President Hakainde on that. Unless he was lying. Unless he wants us to believe he's a liar. You know, he should stick by his word. So all those people who have been saying that if you call for any elections, it's a crime or not, and so on. We are going to call a very powerful defense witness to come and tell them that it's not a lie. That defense witness will be Hakainde Hichilema himself. He will be defense witness number one. And he was right. He was right. There is no problem with calling for an early election. One of the ways he can facilitate for an early election is for him and his government to say, we are stepping down, and that we are not going to be putting anybody in place of President Hakainde, who is resigning. Madam Nalmango is not going to take up this position of president. We will go back to the Zambian people, for the Zambian people to decide who should take up the position from President Hakainde. There's nothing at all illegal for them doing that. It would be following along the steps of what President Kaunda did in 1990. That is the leadership that we're talking about. That is the kind of thing that John McCain did, as I stated earlier on, to that lady who was saying ill things about Obama. I'm asking President Hakainde to step up to the levels of John McCain, to step up to the levels of President Kaunda. That is what is required of him. If he does not do so, he will go down in history as the worst president Zambia ever had. And I'm very sure that once he attains that, no other Zambian president will be able to beat him at being the worst president Zambia ever had. It will be for eternity that he is the worst president we have ever had. So, Mr. President, listen to the people. Let us have early elections. The reason we are saying so is because clearly the New Dawn government has gone to an early new dusk. It's no longer the new dawn, it's the new dusk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us now have questions. Try to make them short so that we can rush to put the news in the mill. Yes, madam, your media house and your names.
I'm not from any media house. I'm a concerned mother of the land of Zambia. And I'll speak from that aspect. Looking at what is happening in our land today, as mothers, we are very disappointed, to tell you the truth. And if you asked me, in 2026, if you ask me what I'm thinking, it's better we try a woman, because men have disappointed us so much. We want to have a mother on the seat, because it is us that feel the pain of labor. And that is why we are well able to possess the land and have it in our hands and put the right measures in the land of Zambia. Talking about what I heard the president's, sorry for not saluting you, I have little time, but I honor you so much. You were talking about the abduction of J.J. Banda, and after that abduction, immediately he was arrested. I want to have it clear that if I go through it and just analyze the whole issue, he was not arrested because maybe of the 7-year issues that he did. Why wasn't he arrested that time? and they chose to arrest him after being abducted. Why? That must be explained to the people of Zambia. Coming to Munia Zulu, what Munia Zulu said was not pointing at any individual. Abwe keshepo fye efyo aebelwe. Nga chakutiro lelande fye weminde. Inena alalande ati bachipata beka lena bachipata. That was not enough reason to be arrested for. And then coming to Apostle Dan Pule. If you tell me that he was arrested because of maybe accommodating the alliance, the Uka alliance in his church, just for a genuine worship, a genuine prayer time they needed to have, and he was arrested for that, please, we need the government to explain better on that one, because as far as I know, as a clergy in the land of Zambia, I'm a pastor, and I know that we have the right of worship in the laws. You cannot tell me where to worship from and where not to worship from. I choose to go to a church where I want to. And if he was arrested on those grounds, no, that is not valid. And I tell you, HH and your government, if you're trying to play with the church, we welcome you with our hands wide. We are going to shock you because we have the right to tell our members in the church not to take part in the 2026 elections. And let's see, because everyone, every life belongs to a church. And if we say our members are not going to participate, let's see what is going to happen in 2026. Then the last one, we are not in a colonial type of state anymore. This is a democratic nation. We are not in the Kaunda regime. And your leadership, New Dawn, is not for eternity. That you must know. It is but for a short time. And your time is ticking slowly. You can't even check that. The way you are behaving, I tell you, I don't even know how to describe it. But I'll tell you one thing. A singer said something in his song that I love to use so much. He said, I am a P, I peva wiso. When you go to a place and people are clapping, you have to have wisdom to describe that type of clap they are giving you. Because the same clap killed somebody. You must never be lied to that Ngavatota, everyone is happy. As mothers of the land, and I speak as a mother who has given birth to a life. Not to my kids, but to a life. Every one of us here is here because there was a mother that sacrificed to just put her life on the balance, you know, to push for this life to come out. And you will not take us for granted anymore. We are ready for you, and we are going to give you what you want as men. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen, Pastor.
I think that contribution has spoken for all those that are not coming from the media houses. It's widespread and well encompassing. Thank you very much, ma'am. HH atuleterera kweva ume. So twakateke. We share the pain with yourselves. Mama Africa, try to get the details. Yes, media house and your names.
I'm coming from grassroots media. We, the grassroots media, we take 3 steps ahead every day. I've been watching everything that has been happening.
Questions and not
Yes.
Contributions.
I'll ask a question because it's important also to contribute. My contribution is that all of us, we know what is happening in the country. And if we take these things, what Kwangara, our brothers and sisters are going to rot in jail. And as you remember, I said a long time ago, how do we go for the head election? Our chairs expressed how we can go for the head election. But let us not just go for horror speeches. There is no politics with pressure. We can speak today and tomorrow. If there is no pressure anywhere, then we are not going anywhere. So what we need as at now to go for the any election is to go for the whole country. People should rise up and protect their rights instead of living in poverty.
All right, thank you very much. Please, the media, question, yes? Where are you coming from? Yes, your name? Just address it to the chair.
Chair, so there is a problem apparent or indications to say you want to come back in power as an alliance.
We've never been in power.
You want to come in power and then do the same thing that is carried to retain economic power. When it comes to arrests, also this and that should be done before where people have followed other presidents, and this is the reason why you want to come into power. That's my question.
All right, thank you. Next, from the media? Yes.
Yes, from the media. My name is
From?
From the media.
Which media? Lusaka Radio. Okay.
Yes. There's so much tension and acrimony on the political scene in the country currently, and since the politicians are not helping matters either, especially with inflammatory and tribal remarks coming from both sides of the aisle on the political front. On your part as an alliance and a stakeholder on the political front, what are you doing to diffuse the tension, and are you willing to stop for the sake of dialogue? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last one, then the chair will start tackling the questions. Okay, chair.
Thank you. Pastor, the concerned mother, thank you very much for your observations, and perhaps I'll ask Vice President Mwenya to comment on your observations.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to allude to my remarks where I said the church holds the masses. And indeed, if the government will not allow the clergy to accommodate persons who are oppressed, the mothers are plenty. When you go to church, this is where you find a lot of mothers. And they are masses. They are the most voters. They have a word in the family to say, "Twaya mukuvota lelo, muyevotela apa. Namaya alikwata maka. Namaya upelo bumi." Therefore, kulanda na lalanda na pansere shiri abana balabatukene. Bali abana tabafundwa. Shayishibanga balikwata na banyina abota kwabo omuntu munono utuka abantu abakalamba omusango firia. I wish to speak in Bemba. I'm so aggrieved. Namayo kutiateka. Ngatwalanda. We are the majority, even in population. We've got a voice. This is what I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. To our concerned mother, I heard you saying that you have a lot of people. And because you have a lot of people, if the New Dawn does not do the right things, you will even tell them not to take part. I have a prayer for you. I have a little prayer. Don't tell them not to take part. Tell them to take part wisely. Tell them to take part and vote wisely. And you know what a wise vote would be. That's my prayer to you.
Very good prayer.
The next person was the grassroots media. Perhaps I'll ask President Sondo to talk about the pressure and so forth that we are being called upon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes, I think we all know what is happening in Zambia, and as UKA United, we are the force that is on the ground, and we are not staying idle to see what is happening. We are pushing hardly, and that's why we are even here. And this challenge that we are all given as Zambians, it's not only for UKA, but it's every Zambian who is feeling it, to stand up. We need all of us to stand up and fight for our own rights.
Correct.
Zambians, you are not fighting for UKA. You are not fighting for everyone, but we are fighting for our generation. So really, we want each and everyone to work with us, to contribute as we are fighting this battle. We are not going to stay behind and fold our hands and look at what is happening. Let's work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The next question was from Millennium Radio, that you want to come and do the same. I come back and do the same. Is that what you want to do, President Kateka? No. Come and tell them what you want to do.
Thank you for that question. How does it even become possible that all these grown men and women would get into doing what we are doing, wasting our time, wasting our resources, so that we can just come back to start imprisoning Zambians, when we are actually asking the current government, the beleaguered government, that they should stop what they are doing. We did not expect this from them. The reason we have come together is because we believe that United Kwacha Alliance can actually make a difference in this nation. We have all come from different political parties, and all of us have got manifestos that we want to implement. Now, we cannot implement those ideas and ideals and policies unless we sit into government, and that's why we have come together. I think the time has come when a government comes into power that will make a difference in the lives of Zambians wherever they are. 60 years down the line, we can't be in a worse position than we were 30 years after independence. 60 years we are worse than when we were just 30 years. It's not acceptable for us to be in this position. So please, thank you.
Thank you very much. Then there was a question from Mr. Chilala of Lusaka Radio regarding tensions, acrimony on the political scene, and what our stance is with regards to these tensions and these statements which are not of a very good nature. Perhaps I'll handle that. I'll be a bit selfish and talk about my party, ULP. I am a part of the alliance, but I'll talk about ULP. I'll talk about ULP because I'll go back to the formation of ULP. The formation of ULP came about because of the tensions which were on the political scene at that time. Some of those tensions and things which were being said are similar to what is being said today. For example, at the 2006 convention of the United Party for National Development, where I was a member at that time, and there was a question of who would be taking over from President Anderson Kambela Mazoka, who had passed on. A campaign was started by some people which was a very ugly campaign. And the campaign was along the lines, it must be a Tonga. That was the campaign which was being made. And that is very well documented everywhere. Nobody can say it is something which I am just making up. Because of that, the people, a large number of the people in the UPND said, this is wrong for our politics. So, Mr. Chilala, as politicians, when there's something wrong, sometimes you find politicians saying, this is wrong. So we then decided to come out from the UPND as we thought that was wrong and we should do something different. Because we felt so strongly about that, even the motto for the party was Zambia for all. That was in recognition of what was happening and instead wishing to bring the country together, to bring the various tribes and everything together. That is why you find that the motto is Zambia for all. We did not want to see a divided Zambia. As a result, even the symbol for the party was this, which is all 10 fingers representing all 10 provinces, both hands, because we didn't want to divide the country. If we wanted to divide the country, our symbol probably would have been just one hand.
Forward.
Sorry.
No. That is, it is divided. So you are quite right.
I didn't realize that coincidence. So with us, it's putting the country together, not taking away any part of the country. That is what ULP was about. So consciously, Mr. Chilala, as politicians, we were trying to put that issue aside. I do remember that during the campaign, ULP decided to go into an electoral pact with the Patriotic Front of President Sata. So I didn't stand as president. We were supporting President Sata. I stood as an MP, and we had various people standing as members of parliament. Unfortunately, at one of the campaign rallies by our colleagues in the UPND, specifically in Kaoma, the leader of the UPND told the people of Kaoma that do not vote for the ULP. Do not vote for the ULP. Kabakara kuti sakuiva umilexize kumavemba. Meaning, do not vote for ULP because Sakuiva Scotta has sold you to the Bembas. That is reported, it's on record that that was stated. I think, who was their leader then? Who was the UPND leader then?
It was the same Alain.
Oh yes, that was words from the mouth of President HH. Never been denied that those were the words that he used. In English. In English, it was that do not vote for ULP and President Sakuiva's party because Sakuiva Scotta has sold you, the losses, to the Bembas. That was referring to the pact that we had entered into with the Patriotic Front. As ULP, we condemned that and said that is wrong. That is not what Zambia should be about. So, Mr. Chilala, we've got a long history of fighting against those kind of tensions that you're talking about. Now I'll stop talking about ULP. When I came to my colleagues here, I found that all of them are of the same mind as ULP with regards to this issue, that Zambia is for all.
That's right.
Zambia is for all. You just have to look at us who are arrayed here, and you can see that we are representing the all of Zambia. There's no way United Kwacha Alliance can be against any section of Zambian society. Whether you're talking about it in terms of gender, whether you're talking about it in terms of generation or age, whether you're talking about it in terms of tribe or region you're coming from, United Kwacha Alliance is for all. So I hope that answers you, Mr. Chilala. As for discussions, we, in our very first presser, did talk about the need for dialogue in this country.
Yeah.
And we still stand by that. There is a need for serious and genuine dialogue to solve some of the problems we have as a country. I would call upon the former vice presidents who are there, instead of them making partisan statements, because of the positions they hold, they should make it their mission to bring political parties together, all the political actors, for dialogue. That is what Dr. Nevas Mumba should do. That is what Brigadier General Mianda should do. That is what Mr. Enoch Kavindele should do. That is what the Honorable Inonge Wina should do. And hoping he has enough strength, that is what Dr. Guy Scott should do. That is what is needed. That is what these senior politicians should do for Zambia. And I hope they'll do so. That is what will diffuse the tensions which are in the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Where is he? Chair, with your permission, I feel that the message from a mother addressed to the immorality we are seeing amongst our youths will be incomplete unless we allow a youth to share a few words with his fellow youth so that they realize that they're being used for wrong reasons. Employment is supposed to be created for them. Economic opportunities are not being used to carry pangas in this day and era. So, Mr. Spano?
I think that what I was stating earlier, that this party is for all, and even the generations, that speaks to that.
Thank you very much. I thought you were overruling me.
I don't know whether I'm going to sit or I should stand.
I think
it's immediate. Tikaribu ofika hapa pajapo mbira baba bamtupu. Nikufaka pati hapa. Ati tikose. Thank you very much, the former president, all the presidents here, the SG, the journalists around, and all those who've come to witness the UKA press briefing. Me, what I would like to say basically is about the youths. You know, as young people, tifunika tiziganiza. Before midala zikalibe kutituma, nyamula mapanga ufunika waganiza. Pamena tituma wana wake bali kuti. Wabulu wake bali kuti. Banchito wake bali kuti. We can't just be used as tools of violence all the time. This formula never worked and it can't work. Zambians hate violence. I was very much disappointed to see some energetic youths who are supposed to be doing, you know, money-making projects coming to deck to come and insult the former president, who is supposed to be respected. Where is our respect as the youth? What are we doing for this country? If our forefathers were behaving exactly like the youth of today are doing, believe you me, we are still going to be under colonial. Because us as the youths, the only thing that some big politicians are doing now is just to use it as tools of violence. We shouldn't be the case. Tenti ziwafunza, tikaenda kumajere, the same politicians wanawatituma. Tikachoka kujama kamba, I don't want to associate myself with the criminals. And yet there are the same people that are sending us there. That's why me as youth, National Youth Chairman for UKA, violence is a no to me. If you want to come to UKA, you used to do violence in the past, UKA has no room for violence. Even these who are coming with pangas thinking they're going to fight with us, we are going to watch them wazamba kungonola mapanga mpaka kasire. Because we don't want violence. Violence should never be entertained in this democracy and in this time and era. So all those who are sending those youths to come and disrupt rallies for the opposition, whilst themselves are having rallies freely, wazinkala na nzeru. Then our police also, let's be learning. Tizinkala na nzeru. We saw how our friends lost jobs after boma ya chinja. Lero futi wakuyuzingisani mwenda kusogolo. Boma ikachinja futi wakambo kuchosani. Don't be partisan. Just do your job as police officers. If police officers can find troops to go and disrupt a rally, they can easily also, equally, find troops to go and protect those who are having a rally. But in Zambia, if you apply for a rally as opposition, they will tell you, no, we don't have manpower. You go there, manpower is apeseka kupishani. Why can they use the same manpower yopishira abantu to protect us? Na matia gas pamwamba. It doesn't make sense. This is a democracy. It's not one-party state. Right now, the economy is in ICU. Bantu wavutika makombo ni muli njala. People can't afford to buy basic needs. Where is the ruling party? Where is the government to address all those issues? The only thing now they're occupied with is arresting the opposition, disrupting rallies, na kuchita vinangu vole sale sachabe bantu. People want to listen. Right now, what the government need to do is to call for an economic indaba. Itanani koni wantu wanzeru, economy yanu ya meni mwezo kabati munastada yakanga. Call the people, the real economists who studied the economy, sit down on the table. Even us as opposition, as we are here, we all want a better Zambia. Because a better Zambia is for everyone. Kuliba Zambia gula unga tuinwa chipana gula unga so uyagula so. Tonse mavuto tiamvera. Most youth right now, babwere na pa makolo wenzo nkala kumtuma one room. Tabwere ya upeza kolo abwere ya pa makolo. Tizashansha branch. Things are not okay in the country. And another thing which I would like to say is abolish selective justice. There is no way people from two different camps commit the same offense. Others are arrested whilst others are not arrested. Let the law be applied equally and fairly. If somebody from UKA or from PF or from any opposition political party commits a crime, treat him as you'd want to treat your same people who support the government of the day. But right now what I'm seeing is you find that those from opposition, lo ndi Ameriko nkamaningi, vali kusaidi kwao kuliba wamena gwiri ulembese. I can give you an example. Our brother Chanoda Ngwira went to the police to go and report some non-UPND cadres who are issuing threats and everything. Wanaka anakumutengera once wa police wenze kuyopa kutua tengeja report. This is the Zambia that we want. We want a Zambia where laws will be applied equally and fairly. If you voka mbotia wani wakwatu stiwa manga osa ibala unga chenjerero kapokola dokete ya masunga. Time izaka fika uzaka longewa. So our youths, open up, wise up. Us as UKA, the issue of violence, we don't want. Ngati mzambo bwera kuti mte disruptirali na ndewe zanu, muzambo zimenya mweka. Zambians don't love violence. Right now, our biggest enemy is not UKA, but the economy. So concentrate on the economy. Zigo mwambie. Tafuna kunyonga.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to J Cool.
Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, J Cool, and turn on the notification bell, cause I'm gonna see you in the next video.